Greetings, my friends. Welcome to the Rebel Moon Podcast. Hacking the future so you can gain the edge. If you want to, of course. Now, just a quick update on my little Quake watch, which I keep warning you about. We're getting into a kind of weird earthquake season now. This last one I heard about was a few days ago, actually. It was the South Sandwich Islands in Antarctica, and it was shook by a 6.1 magnitude quake. So, my friends in New Zealand, brace yourself for another shake, because that's kind of in your area. I reckon another 7-pointer is on the way. Oh, and don't forget my past 2 warnings many moons ago. Okay, hint. We banged them, we nailed them, so prepare yourself. Now then, it's Friday the 20th of August, so let's pause for a moment because things are moving fast. And like I said, you've got to keep looking back to see where you were. And let's see what's gone down recently so we can prepare for more unseen events in or from September. Now, first of all, I just want to mention the YouTube channel that I was innocently watching when I got that overwhelming vibe that the White House in DC was empty, that it was preparing for a new resident. It was a guy called Penguin 6, you know, like a penguin in the Arctic. I'm the number 6, as in 666. So if you'd like a stroll around Washington DC, go with that guy because he's quite knowledgeable. It's a nice little tour. And just see if you can pick up anything. But you know, it's not just the White House, it's the whole lot, the neighbouring buildings. They're also devoid of any life. I do believe there are some military secreted away in there. But I'll explain that later. Now, I said strange things are going on because the cabal controlling China Joe has deep state operatives still within the government agencies and whatnot. Now, also we saw the Pentagon locked down, reports of shooting there, that was a few weeks ago. Now, there's been another, I think there's two now shootings being reported outside the White House. And then yesterday we had a standoff between DC police and a bomber who's now being arrested. And his wife says that he was mentally unstable and volatile, and that he was very unhappy that Trump had lost the election. Wow. Hell hath no wrath like a woman scoring, that's his ex. She's settling a score, ain't she? You know what, with little Billy's wife, Melinda, setting him up for arrest, another spilling the beans, because we never caught him. The military didn't even know that he had that range. She bought it on the quiet and then said to his wife, meet me here, and she passed that address on. They got him. So let's hope more scorned wives of husbands who serve the cabal start doing the decent thing and exposing the spouses for the crimes, male or female, don't matter, the criminals anyway. Now then, move on. More media cabal shit from Kabul. Let's get this, because I told you, you're going to go through a time where disinformation is going to make your head spin, and you've got to keep calm and just concentrate on the true bits. So this cowardly criminal and ex-president of Afghanistan, he's just surfaced from his temporary hidey-hole with more lies to defend himself. He must feel the hangman's shadow creeping up behind him, noose at the ready to slip around his little scrawny neck. This is the Ghani fellow. Now, I thought he'd get sanctuary from Saudi Arabia. I've got a feeling that's where he is, but there's other sources say that he didn't go to Saudi, that he's still in Afghanistan, but he's gone to, he's under protection of some tribe, some tribal place or something. Some tribal leaders protecting him, but they're no match for the Taliban anyway. They don't like the Taliban, so they're probably ISIS. But no, I don't think he'd go there. I still think he's gone to Saudi. But anyhow, I might be wrong. But anyway, a Bloomberg source, they claim, they say Ghani's whereabouts is a mystery. Well, that's a load of BS. We all know Michael Bloomberg. He was at the Sun Valley meeting as well. He's a big thing for communism and what have you. He's actually comes out and said it. This is a guy who wanted to run for presidency of the United States as well, and he got humiliated. But Bloomberg is part of the cabal, meaning they do know where he is, but they ain't saying nothing because he has millions of cabal cash, as we mentioned yesterday. Now, Interpol has been asked to arrest him for stealing, well, they said possibly stealing funds. So let me clear that one up, okay? Because we do say things like in a little bit light-hearted sometimes, but sometimes there's more truth to behind what we say. But this deep state criminal, this Ghani, the ex-Afghan president, who believes he's still the president for some strange reason, even though he's deserted his post, he didn't actually clean out the, Bank of Kabul of public money per se. No, he didn't do that. If he had, he wouldn't have bothered with huge amounts of cash. It's too bulky. Cash can be traced as well. Gold, my friends. Gold cannot be traced. And that's the first thing they go for, because they know it can be smelted down and recycled to make it untraceable. And like I said, it was almost like a comical display of ultimate greed. 4 carloads of cash plus an helicopter, so full of cash that some of these cases had to be abandoned on the runway because it couldn't take off. Now, the truth is that was deep state drug money. It wasn't people's money he was running away from. It was cash. Think about it. He was escaping with cash, and the embassy was most likely laundering the money. And I should have mentioned that Afghanistan supplies 80% of the world's heroin. So smackheads everywhere are in one for a hell of a drought in the coming weeks. Get on the methadone, baby, you're going to need it. Now, the so-called US Afghan Defence Force who fled, they probably fled because they were bloody poppy farmers, for crying out loud. This is a big multi-billion dollar industry. They were poppy farmers. They weren't trained as proper soldiers. They were trained more like security guards to protect the poppy fields and the workers. So the drug network is controlled by the deep state cabal, and it always has been. And if you've ever wondered how countries get flooded out with huge amounts of drugs like cocaine and heroin and what have you every single week, think about it. We're talking tons here, guys, not kilos. You'd need a bloody army of drug mules to smuggle it in 24/7 to be queuing up at the airport. It's not logistically possible, and I don't believe there are enough dupes on Earth to make it possible either. Yet in it comes on a regular basis, as we already know, completely undetected. How? Certainly doesn't come through customs, that's for sure. And aside from a few kilos carried in diplomatic cases that can't be searched, and that's another thing that needs to be changed in the future, the actual main shipments are carried out by rogue factions working within the military and the CIA and other agencies. I'll give you an example. Cast your mind back to the Waco siege. Do you remember that? The botched Waco siege on David Koresh's Davidian cult. That was back in late April 1993, right at the end of April. And it wasn't actually botched as it was made out to be by the media. It was set it on fire by accident, a lot of bollocks. And then they said that he'd set fire to it. Now, before that religious cult, you know what they've been doing? They've been watching and observing suspicious activity at a nearby abandoned airfield runway. It was actually one of the disciples in there and a little girl. They'd gone out for a walk. And they spotted this goings on, so the boys come down, they got hold of cameras and videotapes. So they had film and photographic evidence, which obviously had to be destroyed, along with any witnesses. And here's why I say, because why the cult's headquarters, that's why it was turned into a blazing inferno with them inside. It wasn't a cult suicide at all. Burning themselves alive, or so the whispers go on the wind. It was set on fire on purpose. And in a nutshell, what they'd done, they see military planes unloading drug shipments into what appeared to be black government cars or limos. The registration were kind of like looked like government reg. They weren't normal cars. And those who took the shipment were dressed like government officials as well. Now, it's believed David Koresh contacted the local police with the evidence, which was a big mistake. Because like most people at the time, they thought the police could be trusted. But the deep state is everywhere. You cannot describe how deep they go into our society. They're just everywhere. Now, next thing he knows, Koresh is surrounded by armed FBI officers and SWAT teams and CIA agents armed to the teeth. Yes, folks, that was the crime of this cult. That's why they were destroyed. Protecting their community and the community at large from drugs and reporting this suspicious behaviour like a good citizen. And the reward for good citizenship, death by burning or death by bullets, including women and children who tried to flee the flames. They just shot them like shooting fish in a barrel. And of course, it was a conspiracy theory back then, because the powers that be needed to discredit Koresh as a dangerous religious cult leader of crazy people, just in case any of them, they didn't get them all, and then they could come back and say, look, I have the evidence, I've got photographs. So they all had to be destroyed. It was a massacre, basically. Now, fast forward to today, and we see the same silencing tactics almost everywhere. And there came a time, you see, we don't actually know when it was, but there came a time when the elite cabal took complete control of our governments through bribery, blackmail, or even threats. And then once key figures within a government's been undermined, well, the rest is easy, and they become serfs and puppets of the elites. Now, they've been drug running behind the scenes since the days of Vietnam, probably longer. I mean, there are even movies about CIA drug runners, but they make them a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for, comedic. They try and make them a little bit humorous to take off the edge, but they are based on true stories. Just thinking, Tom Cruise, he was in one called American Made, and before that, I think it was Mel Gibson and Robert Downey Jr. in Air America, doing the same thing, drug running for the CIA. So it's no big secret, it's all out there. It's just that same network today is still used for drug trafficking, but it's also used for human trafficking as well, as we know. And the same thing applies there, about how huge amounts of human trafficking is going on. We're talking millions of people every year, but yet it seems to be visible on the surface. They're not bringing them over on normal aeroplanes or things like that, ferries. And that's because, like drugs, they are transported to the underground tunnel networks, out of sight, out of reach of the law, and obviously the people as well. And I think a lot of people are going to be shocked when they find out just how vast this underground network system is around the world. It's in every damn country. Now, they still don't officially exist because they were always there for military use and continuation of government in a wartime situation, and they were kept during the Cold War as well. But they've since been repurposed and reactivated by the cabal to cover their covert operations and criminal activities. And have you noticed how all these so-called elite oligarchs, billionaires like Gates and such, they seem to prefer being underground in caverns and grottos and tunnels and basements like Creepy Joe? I mean, even Epstein's Island, that temple thing, there was no door on that. The entrance was below that led into an underground network. Now, I know it all sounds very satanic, probably because it is. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Now, war and smuggling drugs under cover of war is very lucrative because they're making weapons off the money off the weapons, money off the drugs. Because these are super criminals, and that's how they become fabulously rich in such a short time. mean, have you noticed how many billionaires there are these days? It's ridiculous. How's that happened all of a sudden? And if it's pure greed for more wealth, it can't be fulfilled. It can never be fulfilled. They just sit on that money. They hardly spend it. They just want more and more and more and more, while other people around the world starve and struggle. So no consequences, that the lives that they've ruined or ended, it doesn't even cross their minds, because they're warped and they're clinically insane. And as long as they're all right, Jack, we can live in a lap of unashamed luxury. Jobs are good and right. Now, so far, when we connect the latest dots, we've seen bizarre floods and fires. The media, of course, blames climate change, but we already knew they were going to do that. And that's basically to promote the next stage of this global reset scam, which, by the way, is falling to bits. But they're still pushing it and pushing it. They have to. They've got no choice. They've got to take it right down to the wire now. And most people are... they're simply not buying it, a lot of people anymore, because they've noticed it is a strange pattern that they've never seen before in their lives. And that goes for almost everybody else. A lot of people are beginning to catch on. It's just something bizarre about it. There's too many, they're too isolated. I've told you why they're doing it. They're doing it on purpose. It's being used, HARP technology. But then again, it's another good sign that people are starting to think for themselves again, which is brilliant. And once they get the hang of thinking for themselves, they're going to find themselves being empowered as their old self begins to surface from decades of media manipulation and mental abuse with tons of false and misleading information. News these days is a mixture of fact and fiction. And when they get found out, may the Lord Lucifer take care of them, especially when the cat's out the bag. And when we find out of these smirking newsreaders and media bosses, fake celebrities, etc., have been lying to them all along and conning them. That's going to be good. I can't wait till that happens. There's going to be a lot of disgusted people about. So hence, why for the time being at least, we here have to glean our own news and our own information about the true state of things, which are being hidden or trying to be hidden. And in which case we can see the net closing on the cabal and the treacherous acolytes. Now think about this, my friends. The Afghan heroin trade has been a money machine for the oligarchs. And as mentioned, it controls at least 80% of the world's heroin, if not more. But they like to kill two birds with one stone when they can. So it's also like a geopolitical weapon as well, because what they do, they flood targeted countries with heroin, cheap heroin, to destroy its society and cause problems for its government or maybe a leader who may not be complying with the deep state or bending to the will. Similar is happening now, like in Hungary and Poland with this LGB thing, because they won't accept it. But they do the same with cocaine as well, from other countries that they control. So they probably own about 80-90% of the world's cocaine supplies as well. Drug dealers, my friends, they don't get a long time in prison for supplying drugs per se. They get punished because they are competing with the deep state, who want to control the trafficking of all drugs, including human trafficking. They want to control all human trafficking. They don't like competition, and that is a well-known fact. Did you hear that one? Facebook. We know they're being investigated for unfair practice, killing the competition before the competition has a chance to get on its feet. And they do that, they buy it up, and then they shelve the company so it can't cause a future threat to their platforms. Excuse? What do you expect? Typical arrogance. You know what they said? They shelved them because they were too amateur to pose any competition. So we'll get rid of you. In other words, yeah, we have to get rid of them. We want proper competition. Told you they're not right in the head. Make of that statement what you will, my friends. However, and there's always a however with me, you are actually witnessing one of my long-tail predictions that I made many, many moons ago about the collapse of Silicon Valley oligarchs like Google, Facebook and Twitter. And Google on YouTube, that'll also be broken up along with other elite-controlled or owned corporations. So you guys out there who followed the exploits of the so-called elites will know something is in the air because, well, you know, it's the way they think. You know, it's the way they operate. You've seen it all before, many times. And that being, nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, is off the table when it comes to saving themselves. Anything. They will do anything. They will do things you cannot imagine because they're crazy. But, crazy as they may be, my friends, do not underestimate them because they are not stupid by a long shot. They are masters of deception, trickery and evil. End of story. That's all you need to know about them. And as we know, their survival instinct is way beyond cowardice, to the point they'll throw their own kin to the wolves, their own family, the kids, anybody, as long as they can escape to safety. They don't give a monkeys about anybody else. And in fact, we've seen their serfs and acolytes already being sacrificed quite a lot lately. I mean, a lot of them now are getting arrested. Where are the big, powerful oligarchs? Why aren't they getting them out of jail? Why aren't they stopping them getting arrested? Why aren't they supplying them with safe havens? They're just letting them be arrested. They've been thrown under the bus. Just wait till it all comes out. It's going to be great, I'll tell you. All the naysayers are going to have a very hard time dealing with themselves. That's for sure. But they're already being sacrificed, and that's what the elites do, and that's what the elites always have done. They promise the greed-ridden dupes in suits, the moon and the stars will make you rich. They tell them you're going to be above the law, don't worry about it. And in most cases they are, and we've seen that many, many times in the past. But once something big goes wrong, and their underlings beg them for help, no help ever comes. Silence. But alas and alack, all these bent and dishonest politicians who sell us out treachery, they always think they're the special ones, don't they? They always think they're going to be protected. And that is until they find themselves on their own, which a lot of them are beginning to do now. And it's then and only then when they realise they can't say certain things, especially if they don't want to end up publicly discredited or indeed dead, suicided, disappeared, whatever. Now the shadow government is currently being attacked like never before. We've never seen this before. We've seen them being attacked quite a few times, and they basically brush things off like, you know, an annoying little gnat, a little bug, a little fly. Go away, you annoy me. Go away, boy, you bother me. Not this time. They know it's an alliance as well, rather than one or two underground groups or organisations who may have a grudge against them, because that's what they do. They steal money. They steal it big. They steal family fortunes. They steal everything. They've never worked a day in their life. They're thieves. They're master thieves. Super criminals. That's what they are. And the world has seen what lengths they are willing to go through in order to get the way fulfill an hidden agenda. And we've all seen it, it's just that people don't know. We saw it in World War II. Pearl Harbor, another false flag. Vietnam, 9/11, etc., etc. It goes on and on. Plus every bloody recession and depression that we have experienced has been caused by them. But it's always been for a reason. And that's usually to reset their crooked stock market system, because it keeps going out of sync. That's why they're trying to do the reset now. The monetary system we're using is not fit for purpose anymore. Not in the 21st century. Now, in the same fashion, they use the same tactic to distract from themselves, to get out of a situation while blaming something or somebody else. So as this net closes in, the more dangerous things will get. I want you to remember that, okay? Told you before, rats in a corner. A rat will always run away from you. But if you get in a corner and threaten it, it's going to go for you. And so, if they can do something, they will. Doesn't matter what it is. And after all, they have everything to lose and nothing to gain. Because if they get caught, it's a trip down to see old Hob, down in the hot place. Now, I'm not sure what this false flag will be. They're up to something, but they're not getting chance to breathe. They're being chased so much, they're being kept off balance. But if they get an opportunity, they're going to pull something off. And don't forget, there are still rogue factions within militaries around the world. So I'm not sure what kind of false flag it will be. Not for sure. I have a few ideas. But, there's a lot of the former options are not available anymore. Like I said, they're being shut down left, right and centre. Now, I also believe the options that are still open to them are being very, very carefully watched by the Alliance. They know where the sources are to make these things happen, and I think they'll be watched. But like I said, they don't know everything. Remember, they didn't even know about Gates' secret bloody ranch because he bought it anonymously. Now, I don't see another 9/11 kind of thing. Get that out of your mind. A lot of people are, well, I told you all the doom-mongers have come out. They are doing right on cue. Now, I don't see anything like that. And you're going to see many more pundits putting that out soon, by the way, because they like to sensationalise and grab attention. But I think this chaos will come in the form of a financial meltdown because I already predicted it a long time ago. And for you guys who don't know, I predicted this as part of a forewarning about a monetary crash that was coming in 2008. Now, I said this was in 2017. I said there would be a crash in 2008, and then I nailed it to September because I was getting a lot of flack. Because everything was fine and dandy then. House prices going up, everything. Go away, Levi, you're losing the plot. Yeah, all right then. I've always been losing the plot. I'm still here. But it was merely a dry run, I said, for something much bigger. This was after it happened. I said, people got so focused on that prediction, I have to keep reminding him the second part. I said, look, this is a dry run. This is nothing. It's a dry run for something much bigger down the road. But after that, I don't have any dates. Just have to, I know it's going to happen, you just got to wait. So that was a long time ago. So that was, it was posted in 2007, sorry. Anyway, the world has indeed, it's changed a lot since then, guys, as we know. And by that, I mean, never have I seen the fat controllers being attacked like this. Never. And not being able to fight back. That's the big thing. And it's got them stumped. Who is after them? Who is it? And they're scared. It's like that Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid film when they're being chased. And no matter what they do, they try water, they try going over rocks. But they have this Indian who's been brought in as a special scout, and he can read any tracks. He can even read tracks in the dark. And they're going, who are these guys? And they find out that all these people were handpicked just to chase them down, to track them down and kill them. Well, this is something similar what these acolytes of the cabal now, they're going, who the hell is it? They've got a good idea, but they don't know the rest of it. They have suspicions, but they can't prove anything. But they also don't know how these people are staying so far ahead. So like I said, they're running scared. And it's almost like the Alliance is accessing the future to see what they plan next. And then coming back into the present and throwing a spanner into the works. And in fact, they're trying to distract now, aren't they, by stirring up trouble in the Afghanistan, lying again about the Taliban. Typical BBC Sky, spit at your TV, throw it through the window. They're going to get what's coming to them little treacherous little bastard creeps and perverts that have basically infiltrated all the TV channels now. It's coming. But they all started lying, as I explained, blowing things out of proportion, making mountains out of molehills. And, that's a well-worn tactic. We've all seen it before. We've seen it so much that we're tired of it. I mean, they killed Trump in a heartbeat. That's the answer. That is the only thing that they can do. They think, but it doesn't matter. It's not Trump. It's the alliance who are behind him. That's who they've got to be scared of. They're the ones that are really after them. And it's going to be funny when you find out how many actual attempts have been made on Trump's life. There's quite a lot. I think it's over 20-something. That'll all be revealed eventually. But everyone has failed. And the reason is they can't get anywhere near him because of his special detail. It's a security that's made up of the best of the special services, military intelligence. They might not all be American. They could be from the SAS, SEALs. They could be from the Spetsnaz in Russia. These have been put there to protect him for a very good reason, because he is their representative. See, those guys you see around him, they're not Secret Service, by the way. The Secret Service still serve the deep state, apparently. Not all of it, but a big element of it. So while China Joe Biden cuts a lonely figure, Trump is still travelling in the presidential motorcade and flying in the official and genuine Air Force One. And just a heads up, this has been confirmed a number of times since the election fraud. And, there are a few things here, because it sounded like a conspiracy theory at first that Trump was still in. So let's try it now that we've seen some things that we shouldn't see, or things that don't seem normal. Things that we normally don't see. Now, for instance, the military intel, it covertly oversees elections in case of fraud. Trump was informed by the military intelligence, who still recognise him as the commander-in-chief, and then an order of insurrection was signed. Okay, so he's the commander-in-chief, but he's not the POTUS per se, the President of the United States. Not because of Manchurian President Biden, but because the United States corporation has been shut down. And every government is actually a business or a corporation. And especially in Britain, because it's officially registered as such, it's a business. What they do, they form a government, they bid to run the country, and they're picked according to the support of the elite network, rarely by the people. Hence why the elites control both parties by creating these two-tier system governments around the world, which limits people's choice. And we know there are other parties, but they don't get funded, they don't get coverage, media, whatever. They're just there for show. The token governments on a nice herb. That's why you don't see much of them, and they don't do much. They don't have to. They're getting paid not to challenge. So, you never get these ones, they never get national or international coverage like the big two. Anyway, the US corporation has now been dissolved. I think it has been for a while. So in theory, there is no official government of the United States at this moment in time. There's a commander-in-chief, and the military is running the show. Now, here's another thing, people who doubt this is happening. Let me give you another thing. Who is in charge of all this, the military right now? General Flynn, right? That's the guy who Trump pardoned. He was a deep state enemy. That's why they got him and put him in jail for refusing orders. They've done that with a few of them who's refused the orders because they don't recognise Biden as president. Anyhow, they let him out. So if he is still controlling most of the US military, which he is, then he wouldn't be there, would he? If Biden's in, they would have got rid of him in a heartbeat. They're throwing him back in jail. So come on, you enjoyed your little time out with your buddy Trump. Now he's gone, back you go. and then they probably would have suicided him. And furthermore, I think it's Michael Flynn, isn't it? Call him General Flynn. General Flynn's brother is also in the military, and he's running all the South Pacific operation. So again, if the deep state was in control of all the military, then he would have been another. They would have removed him ages ago. Okay, so just throw that back at people if they start being, oh no, it's a load of bollocks that. All these naysayers, just throw that at them and ask them, and then tell them to go away and do the research, come back and apologise to you. I mean, it's not rocket science, but that's how you read between the lines. Don't listen to what they're telling in the media. Read between the lines. So General Flynn, right, he's still there in charge of the military, and he's taking orders from Trump. End of story. Otherwise, Pelosi gang and Clinton, they would have had him out ages ago, and his damn brother as well. There you go. Shoot scores. I rest my case. I've won. Bing, bing, bang. Just say that to them. Walk away. People are going to find out anyway. It's just they just bloody annoy you, don't they? That they just seem like they can't think about it. So just keep throwing little nuggets at them like that, and they will come round because they get to the point where they can't deny anything. Then what? Well, I don't know. Anyhow, look. I'm going to tell you something else as well. There is no official United States government. Now, in fact, I don't think there's been one since 1999. Just right there on the edge of millennium. Because that's when the Federal Reserve's right to print money for the United States government expired. And to my knowledge, was never renegotiated. I did a big blog on this once, and I tried to find out, and all they said was, oh no, it was signed. It was signed, kind of behind closed doors kind of thing. It's like government business. No, it's not. It's an historical thing, and the public should know. Because the Federal Reserve, as I keep saying, is not nothing to do with the American government. It's owned by the black nobility of Europe mainly, and the big bankers. Your Morgans, your Rothschilds, all those kind of people, Rockefellers. That's who owns the Federal Reserve. So what happened then? I don't think it was ever signed, because they said, no, this has been it's a 99-year, I think it was a 99-year lease or something. Anyways, it expired, and as far as I know, it was never signed. So they don't have every right to print any money for the government. It's a different entity, but they're doing it anyway because they've had all the fake presidents in, haven't they? So they just carried on. They just carried on doing it since then. Now, since then, like I said, these elite oligarch European bankers, nobility, because the Queen's got a share in it, in the Federal Reserve. Like I said, it's a private banking enterprise. All these oligarchs, these European bankers, they've carried on printing the US dollar illegally, and hence why so many countries over the years have been dumping it in exchange for oil and gas and any other natural resources. You don't have to buy it in a dollar anymore. There's a basket of currencies. Like I say, they'll even accept gold. So the days of the petrol dollar are dead. So that's another choke point. So now they've lost the heroin trade. They're probably going to lose the cocaine trade. But the really, really big money spinner is the petrol dollar. And again, they keep two birds with one stone. They invade a country, so they make a fortune off the weapons because they supply both sides. And then they nick all the resources while everybody's busy shooting at each other. Very clever, very crafty, very stupid as well. Anyway, so countries now, more and more now that they've seen these kind of US military machine, that they don't control all the military anymore. A lot more people are now selling their oil for a basket of currencies, like I said, for gold as well. So that way they can bypass the suspect dollar, because the dollar really isn't worth $1. It used to be 38 cents, and that was ages ago when I did that. It's probably $1. I don't know. Nobody wants them. Nobody wants to trade in it for resources anymore. So it may be worth about 20 cents. I don't know. And this is again why everything has to be reset and digitalised so they can get back on par. And then what they'll do, they'll slowly try and take over all the digital currencies into one. And then that's when game over. We won't go there. We've explained it too many times. Now, like I said, I covered this quite a few years ago during Saddam and Gaddafi years, Colonel Gaddafi, because they both tried to switch to an oil for gold system. And remember, Saddam was a deep state man at first, but he had a falling out with them. He waged a 10-year war on Iran, and one day he just made friends with them and told the Americans, deep state, get lost. And then he wanted, he didn't want to keep giving the oil, so he said, gold for oil, we don't want your dollar. Because he knew it was worth about 38 cents at the time, which is a bit of a rip-off, innit? And everybody else has to pay full price. So they posed a threat, and hence why they both had to be killed. Although I'm not sure whether Saddam was actually executed, to be honest. Something very dodgy about that. Anyhow, like Saddam, he had a lot of things on the deep state, because as I said, he was financed by them for 10 years to create war against Iran. And Iran is the real threat to the deep state. And it's the prize they've always yearned for, because of its vast natural reserves. They just want to own them. They might not use them, just like they do, like Facebook does. Same thing. They buy up everybody and then they let it sit. They kill all competition. But Iran, they've always been that after that from day one. And also, they can ruin Russia as well if they get that, because Russia makes fortune off it, so does China, off Iranian oil. So these wars have always been futile, but they have been necessary to keep this illusion of power going and keep other countries in fear. You could finish the elite in a heartbeat, the oil, just by releasing Tesla's alternative energy. Result, end game, end of story. The old fossil fuel bullshit is dead. The industry, the climate change, everything. Tesla's release of alternative energy will end all that bullshit. They won't have anywhere to turn, and they will be exposed for what they are. The media, everybody, because they all know what the score is, even though they pretend they don't. And as mentioned, I believe that's going to be revealed and released before maybe 2025, definitely before 2030. And along with technology that I spoke about that's being suppressed from you for God knows how long. And some of that is alternative energy, so there's a little hint for you right there. Read between the lines. And that, my friends, will deliver the fatal blow to the so-called elite bloodlines. The billionaires, the black nobility, royalty, and all the rest of Satan's little helpers. Oh, and by the way, I don't know whether I mentioned this last time, but it's not just Pennsylvania Avenue buildings that are empty. There's a lot of these big buildings empty around the world. There are things about Buckingham Palace as being empty, and a lot of our other properties have been seized. Queen lizards. Hence why she's exiled to Balmoral in Scotland for now. Nobody else is saying that at the moment, but I'm sure it's going to come out sooner or later. At the moment, she thinks she's up there on a traditional holiday. All the media lies are just covering up what's really happened. But I think she's been arrested and put up there. I also believe they've arrested Prince Pervert Andrew, who's been in hiding lately, but I've got a feeling they've got him. Then again, maybe he was drowned in a tunnel as well when they flushed all the rats out. I've got a feeling Charles, I haven't seen him for a while as well. He's gone a little bit quiet. And this is the time now when they should be pushing the Great Reset thing, remember? They come to the end of the vaccine. The next stop is the Great Reset, which is the way to that is through climate change, to make everybody feel guilty that you have to eat less, you've got to use less, and to help the climate, which is a load of tosh I've explained before. Check your solar cycles out, you'll get it in a heartbeat. But a lot of these royal residences as well have tunnels beneath them. A lot of these council buildings and stuff in your own towns and your own cities, they've got tunnels with a safety feature in case, like the leaders have to be spirited away in the event of war or an invasion or something, some big emergency, national emergency. They've got to protect their representatives. But many a dark tale, because I live here, many a dark tale has emerged over the years. I heard a lot of this when I was quite young as well. But there's a lot of tales emerged about what they've been used for in peacetime. And I can honestly say most of them have a satanic slant attached to them. So there should be no surprise there then. And before I go, guys, have you noticed what we've been talking about for ages is now starting to slowly spread onto the internet of all places? Not just on the alternative news, on the proper internet like YouTube, things like that, which usually ban this kind of stuff. And I'm quite surprised that White House empty. I didn't think it'd go that it'd be interesting to a lot of people. So it just shows that people know, Americans especially know that there's something not right there. They are taking all this information in about these battles in the tunnels and that. And plus, we've seen clips of all kinds of weird stuff going on. So it's a good sign. But they're slowly starting to spread into the public domain. That is brilliant. And even I didn't believe I'd see that this fast. It might be stopped yet. I don't know. But it's, I doubt it. It seems to be increasing. These conspiracy theories is getting all big all of a sudden after all them years of, silencing them. So, what about the other one, like what we keep on about? They're starting talking about, just one or two have heard mention it lately. Where are all the famous deep state gobshites all of a sudden? Where are they? Because we noticed that here many moons ago, didn't we, guys? Whispers of high-profile arrests were being made, and they were increasingly conspicuous by their absence to us, whereas other people said, oh, no, it's a load of rubbish. I've just seen her on YouTube or whatever. Yeah, CCG or whatever it is, and all the videos. They've been doing a lot of that lately. And as we found out, that plane in Afghanistan that took off with the people dropping off it, that was a deep fake video, by the way. That's all being exposed now as well. So, it's all coming out. See, it's funny how we were dissed as nut jobs back then, isn't it? And now those same people are beginning to cotton on by seeing what they couldn't see before. They could have saved themselves a year or so if they would listened instead of dismissing everything that they don't like to hear. And like I said, you cannot escape the truth. Once the truth comes out, that's it. Your lies are buggered forever. And here's another bullet for the naysayers, because you said some are beginning to panic now that they're realising things are not quite right. Now, for some reason, yes, a lot of people still believe China Joe is in charge of America. Others have realised he's not mentally capable to make any kind of decision, but somebody must be making those decisions, right? And that being the deep state cabal and the puppets, who a lot of them who served in the Obama, Clinton regime, some of them with the President Clinton and the former Bushes as well. I mean, he's been in it, Biden, 40 years, and he's never done one right thing in 40 years. So again, that's a bit hard to accept that he even have the qualifications to be a president, because he's a lousy senator. He's always been one. Lousy. So, like I said, this is all not hard to figure out because all the fingerprints are everywhere. And in fact, you will see things trying to kick off in the Ukraine and the Black Sea region very, very soon, because it's still a Biden-Clinton stronghold. Hence why China Joe deployed more military there not long ago. However, a few weeks ago, The Trump alliance forces raided a business property in the Ukraine that's owned by the Bidens. And when they stormed it, guess what they found? It was empty. There's a lot of bloody empty buildings about. But this place, one of the soldiers said it smelled like musty, like it hadn't been used for some time. That damp kind of smell that you get. No staff, no furniture. All the windows were frosted out. Although somehow this empty building is making a fortune. So in other words, it's another front. It's a shell company laundering drug money and human trafficking money. Because direct human trafficking is now multi-billion-dollar a year business. That's how bad this situation is. It makes you wonder how the police can turn a blind eye to it and go chasing people for not wearing masks instead. Pathetic. Now finally, let's also not forget that Biden, he's not going to be around much longer. I'm talking 6 weeks or less. 8 weeks max, but I'm going for 6 weeks or less. And if I'm right, or even if I'm anywhere near the mark, what happens next? I can't see the fake Vice President Kamala Harris becoming president. I said that ages ago and I haven't changed my mind. I cannot envision that at all. And in fact, if Biden is a joke, we think Biden is a joke, which a lot of people do, then I'll tell you what, we ain't seen nothing yet. Therefore, we can expect something else that will have to occur out of necessity. The Americans won't even accept this Kamala Harris. She's a bloody fruitcake. She's another one. She can't string an intelligent sentence together. She comes out with crap. I'll tell you, snorting too much coke or shooting too much adrenochrome, I don't know what's wrong with them, but they're not right in the head. So therefore, I'm saying we can expect something else that will have to occur. Let me explain that. Possibly the big revealing, don't forget we're talking 6 weeks, 8 weeks max, but I'm going to say 6 weeks or less, just for fun. Let's try and get a timeline here. Possibly the big revealing that Trump is still calling the shots and his reinstatement to the White House. In fact, that's the false flag and aimed at the elites and not the people for the first time in history. That's the only kind of shock I can see coming. They are going to pull some dirty tricks. They will try and pull the plug on the economy system, but I've just got a feeling this alliance, they have all that took care of. We know these things will happen. We know the internet will go off. We know the electricity will go off at some point. Won't be for long. It is just a thing to say this is what has been happening to wake people up. But so I've got a feeling, that would be a false flag on the elites, wouldn't it? Trump's back. God, can you imagine how scared they'd be? They're terrified now because they know he's got something very unusual backing him up and they don't know what the hell it is. And they're supposed to know everything. But this they don't know. Now, wouldn't be that something though, eh? And one more thing I want to mention very, very quickly. Trump was asked if Biden was still in control. If he's not in control, who is? And I don't know if you've heard Trump, but he's very reluctant to say who it actually is or who he thinks it is. So he just said the cabal's in charge and he wouldn't be pushed any further. He wouldn't be pushed. He said, I can't say or I don't want to say or something. That, my friends, you see these little giveaway, little cryptic things that he says, they interest me greatly because he's trying to get a message out to all the patriots. A lot of them know exactly what he's on about. That's how he's keeping everything calm. Everybody thought the Americans would be out there shooting the place up, when he got beat. But no, they understand these patriots. There's something a lot bigger going on. And he keeps putting all this cryptic messages out. And people have to learn to read between the lines of what he's saying. And listen to the words, listen to what the words mean. So it's obviously a big secret that can't be leaked into the public domain at this point, not just for security reasons, or giving the game away. And that's a given. It's normal protocol. Never tip off who you are chasing, who you are trying to capture, who you are trying to destroy. Don't mouth it off. I'm coming after you. You tell them nothing. You say, oh, no, go away. I'm not bothered chasing you. Then you go after him. Because they're nice and relaxed now. They don't, oh, he's not after me, okay. Then you go and get him. So that's quite normal protocol. And I touched on something between the lines and words that I couldn't quite grasp the nettle, if you know what I mean. And that being the identity of who he's talking about. And the identity, he knows who he is, but he's not saying. And the identity, I think, is going to shock the public at large. Not so much as us. I don't think we'll be all that shocked. We might be surprised. We might be surprised. We probably will be surprised. But then again, you never know. But it's natural to think that the usual political suspects, isn't it? But most of them being arrested and executed as far as we know. I mean, could Gates still be alive? Well, he is alive, isn't he? He is still alive. The rumours are that he's been arrested. You know, has he got out of Gitmo? Was he even there? We'll see in 3 days' time, because the 23rd of August, that's when he's allegedly due for sentencing. So let's see if any more info is leaked out and he does get the chop. You see, I don't think so. He's the big man, because Gates to me simply isn't Antichrist material. He's a tosser. He's a tosspot. He's a dickhead. He's a nerd. He's just an insane, power-mad little bastard. He's not dark enough, is what I'm saying. I mean, some of the things I know would scare him to death. I don't think he can walk that path. I really don't. He's evil. Yes, he is. They all are. But this is somebody at the top we're talking about that controls everything. And this is going to lead up to the black nobility, including the British royals, who I believe are now under arrest, and the banking dynasties. The big ones, you all know who they are. But ultimately, it will lead to the Vatican, can promise you that, which, surprise, surprise, is also empty. Did you know that? I think the fake Pope, Francis, because they don't call him Pope, they call him Francis, he's already been arrested, I think. And he's under arrest. He's probably walking around with an ankle bracelet on. Keep track of him. But the Pope, remember, is only a front man. It's the Black Pope who really runs the Vatican. You can check that out. Again, DuckDuckGo, don't bother Googling it. Might even have it on YouTube these days, but just try the Black Pope. That's who really runs the church. The white Pope that you see is basically a front man. The Black Pope, now, he is the dark one. And he is right up there next to whoever this person who we shall call the Antichrist is. So if you find out who the Black Pope serves, then there you have who controls the elites. And indeed, like I said, what people will call the Antichrist after he's been revealed. Not because everything can be revealed, of course. Some things will have to remain secret for some time to come. But enough to stun the world into a new way of thinking. And of course, shocked to the socks when they find out how close they came to mass destruction and hell on earth for those who were chosen to survive as the servants. And it's looking that's not going to happen now, thankfully, but it's all coming out. So we're going to leave all that there for now. I've rambled on for almost another hour. I'm going to have to stop it. But it's just that we're getting to this point where we need to get this information out. Just keep getting it out and try our best to sort the wheat from the chaff, the truth from the lies and all the misinformation. Okay, my friends. So meanwhile, I will see you on the wind.